Hey, plotters, welcome back. You have seen these faces before because we've already had them on the show. So KT and Greg are two of my coaching clients. They inspire me, so I thought they would probably inspire you too. So they are on the show. I am going to read a bio for KT now. KT, while I look for your bio, would you do me an amazing solid and show me with your hands one of your awesome talents?
Oh.
Oh.
Really double jointed. It's like real bendy.
That's how she writes all her material, by the way. All of it. All right, so KT. So KT is a writer. She's a director. KT, this time I'm not going to make you try to sing, right, on the spot. She has a really good voice, by the way. So if anybody was like, KT can't sing, it was because I put her on the spot. She had no idea that I was going to be so unprofessional. She's an amazing singer, just so you know.
That was brutal.
KT has the best title ever for one of her short stories. It's the true story of the hitchhiker who was shot in pursuit of kindness. By the way, can we find that anywhere, KT? If we want to just read that after that amazing talent.
You can look it up. It's narratively. It's published by Narratively. Excuse me.
I'm going to want the link for that too, KT, and we'll just pop it up.
Okay.
Just because I want to read it. So KT has done voiceover work for Rockstar Games, which is amazing. Well, tell me more about that. What kind of character did you play for the voiceover?
I was in the original Red Dead.
Really? What does that mean?
Redemption.
World. Everyone knows except me, I'm sure. So what character were you?
I really don't either.
I've never played the game, so I'm one to talk, but I'm one of the prostitutes. That like takes him on a journey or something.
Gosh.
It's fun.
I love that. So KT has sung with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. She's developed gallery theater and children's theater pieces for museums in Maryland and Indiana. She's a graduate of Iowa Playwrights Workshop and Towson University. She has a long list of credits. Really impressive. Just a side note, I'm sorry, KT, this is TMI. This is like a parent talking about their children, and they're like, oh my God, why are you talking about me right now? KT has gone to the Eugene O'Neill National everything. And what's really funny is like one of the things we talked about was like, leveraging yourself like outside of this. KT's like, are people even gonna like think that's like important? I'm like, yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. She's like so humble, and I'm just not very humble for her. So I'm just like, KT, we're gonna brag about you, and she's like, please don't. As I'm doing right now, and I met her at the Kennedy Center. She's really freaking impressive. Greg, I owe you this for making you read your own bio. I'm actually gonna read your bio the way you sent it to me. I actually am really supportive of Greg. These are his own words. Are you ready for this?
I'm not ready.
Greg is a doctoral student, but it's at a state school, so temper your enthusiasm. He has been able to find a couple publishers who were willing to put his bullshit out there. By the way, we're going to have cursing in this. My two clients are very eloquent with the word choices they use.
Concern it.
Yes, so he's been able to a couple publishers. Most recently, The Dream Thief. Which, tell me about The Dream Thief a little bit.
Love that book.
Give me your elevator pitch. The elevator is plummeting, by the way.
Elevator's plummeting. Yeah, that's a way to put a sense of urgency in any pitch right there. Actually, I kind of feel like it really is a love letter that I wrote to my daughters, saying, just don't grow up. It's not worth it, and. I kind of feel like I can summarize the whole book with the first line. So if somebody wants to go out, please buy it in full price. Because
buy it. We'll have a link below.
I've got a daughter in college. I really, really need this. But the first line is the strangest part about learning to fly is how quickly you forget. And just remember, watching my daughter. They're playing outside and they're living this world there. And I just felt fortunate enough to be able to see it, to watch that, and just thinking, when do we lose that? When does a stick stop becoming a magic wand, and when is a dish towel no longer a cape? and what do we lose when that's all gone? So it was just really trying to capture that one moment right there.
Well, that was really poignant. And now I'm going to have to read the last line of your bio. Greg, thanks a lot. I'm going to look like a jerk. So Greg is also the inventor of Peel and Eat Shrimp.
Thank you for your support.
Love shrimp. Love sea bugs.
You can also read the line below that too. I really don't care.
He is also too aware that the camera adds. We're not doing that.
Cool. So that's great.
Adds talent.
Oh!
That's why you're the coach.
I refuse. We're not doing that.
I
We picked the higher road.
Greg.
All three of us.
Greg!
So in this one, we're going to talk about like your writer's journeys, and we'll just go back and forth. Like, KT, when did you get like swept up by creativity? It doesn't have to be writing exactly.
Writing is definitely my heart, and it was really just giving myself permission to do it, you know. And I think that was in undergrad.
Yeah.
Because this was also the 90s. And
when did it hit that you were good at it?
The first play that I wrote was produced, and it brought people joy. So I said, okay,
I'm gonna keep doing this.
That's nice. So yeah, I would say that's sophomore year of college.
What about you, Greg?
I feel like I've always had like, stories bouncing around, and growing up, I did well in like the English classes. So I felt like I had like was able to be given that tool. Like I had some fantastic teachers growing up, and one I can shout out to because she's probably not watching this, but she my high school English teacher was Sharon Draper, who's
that's so cool.
And
who's killing it right now. Do you want to brag about your teacher?
I hated her for 7/8 of the time that I was there. I mean, she had the audacity to criticize things that I worked minutes on. And actually, I can tell you a big moment that I had, and a lot of things really did start with her. And so I'm up there just like whining and belly aching about.
Wait, before you go into it, brag about her so people who might not know how impressive she is, because this is a weird coincidence that this was his teacher. You all.
Yes, Sharon Draper. Her book's here somewhere. I just don't know the alphabet. She's, I don't know how many New York Times bestsellers. Now I can point out she was not a best-selling author before I was her student. But
look what you did, Greg.
Right.
My God.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that acknowledgement. But no, she's just amazing. She was also the National Teacher of the Year, and I've been so lucky many times to be around some like amazing people, and in so many ways that may have started right there. So yeah, just like uber talented. She's got a movie coming out on Disney Plus, Out of My Mind. Jennifer Aniston was at the she's not in the movie, but gave it a standing ovation at Sundance, like all that. So this is just like off the charts amazingness. And I was fortunate enough to be in her class and to be criticized so much, and so I came to her after class, and I was like, this is bullshit. This is ridiculous. Like this is way better than anything else there. And
how old are you at this point, by the way?
Oh, I was 17, so I knew everything.
Wow.
You knew everything.
I knew everything. And she said, like, I wanted to fail you. She's like, you're lucky to get this C. And she had told me, she was like, if you would just put, half of the energy you put into, goofing around and being an asshole into what you should be doing, you'd be amazed. And I would love for this story to end with, and so, like the next day I was this prime student in did everything right. But no, that certainly did not happen. It took me quite a while, but
Well, I want to talk about this though, because we do have those movies and books where that happens, but she still was a big reason why you got motivated and maneuvered this way. So talk that through, how that was still really inspiring for you, even though you still rebelled and everything.
well, she also spoke to me in a way that most teachers really aren't going to. That they're not going to, for one thing, perhaps care enough, or just to really like just look that deeply into a student, and that part did resonate a little bit right away. It's like, so instead of saying, you're right, I'm going to prove you, right. It's like, I'm going to prove you wrong and be even better, because as I said, I was 17 and even less mature than I am now, which is, there's yeah, dear God, it's.
By the way, we all know each other. I mean,
Yeah.
Of course I know them because I coach them, but KT actually recommended Greg to me, so we all know each other. So like, this is all in good fun. They're not.
Oh
they're
yeah,
not
it's
vicious people.
all. That this isn't one of those like sports talk shows where people are screaming at each other or whatever.
No.
It's
So yeah, Greg. So you wanted to show her,
yeah, it's
and
like, oh,
you
I'm gonna do.
maneuvered. How did it happen that you ended up like falling into the writing then?
Well, I felt like she was like really equipping me with the tools. She was big on things that are just really going to push your ratings through the roof. Talking about subject verb agreement.
Amazing.
Like I see like some escalation here on your viewership, but like it's just like all the tools, and she was firm on just like do this right. Have your sentences make sense. She also in this class gave some advice, and you don't want to have like all your sentences really the same length and have the same cadence, because it just gets kind of rote. It gets very, very boring. They're just mix things up. She says, as long as you can tell me if something's a sentence fragment, I'll let you use it.
And, that's cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
love that too.
She's like, know the rules before you break them. But she was allowing us to do that, and just really that type of latitude, that type of opportunity to just really explore the language, even if through a little bit of misuse, was just
I love that.
fantastic. And I feel like she was equipping like all of us with all these tools, and I wish I could go back and just relive like all of that, because I missed most of it. But she really did give me enough that I feel like there was some foundation. Now, granted, she's, can't say too that I'm on her level by any means. So I don't want any of this to sound remotely close to that, because she's Googleable.
I love that, and I guarantee you all of it is in your subconscious, and it's slipping through even when you don't know it. So maybe you don't physically.
That's what I was gonna ask. If she's like in you're trying to please her all the time, really secretly or not so secretly.
If she were an enemy, I'd say she's living rent free. But she's definitely still like a guest who
a welcome squatter.
Absolutely.
I hope she watches this. Please, if you're watching this, comment below
Right.
and give us your feedback on what Greg has said.
I don't know that guy.
I don't know that guy. KT, Greg, that was perfect. That's actually one of my questions. So KT, do you have like any mentors that like really maneuvered you where you are now? It doesn't have to be from like when you were younger, but like somebody that has really been an anchor for you.
Yeah, I wasn't studying writing until really like grad school.
Mm.
And I had some amazing teachers along the way. And this sounds so ridiculous, but my Lord and Savior David Bowie is, is actually my draper in my rent-free squatter in my head. Just would David be pleased?
What would Dee do?
What would Dee do? And what would I do for Dee? Oh, sorry.
Oh no! Oh no!
God.
Oh, I didn't even realize what that meant. Oh,
Can we just
I
do
can't
one
word people
soundbite
now.
right there?
Yeah,
Just one
Jeremy.
Oh
soundbite.
man!
That should be your
And I'm
ringtone
rethinking
now.
having this be unfiltered, you all. Like, I can't. I'm gonna have to put a kid warning on this.
It'll be okay.
It was David Bowie. We were talking about David Bowie.
Yes.
Ziggy Stardust. Come on now.
Yes.
Oh man.
Who did describe himself as a librarian with a sex drive? So I think it all scans.
Oh,
But no,
man.
but I think everybody has that person that they admire enough. Whether it's the teacher that like you kind of hated, but like, oh God, you're right. Ooh, like, Greg's talking about, or, obviously I never met David Bowie. Did get to see him perform once, but for a very sheltered person.
KT, David Bowie just moved your camera.
How did that happen?
You're no longer focused.
Am I good? Am I back?
Yeah,
that's so
all of a
amazing.
sudden it moved.
What are
You
you,
were talking
ground
to David
control?
Bowie and it went.
I love you. But for a very sheltered person, and of course, I think everyone's gateway drug for my generation was Labyrinth, because I didn't know his music before then, and just, self-expression and identity, and the reason everyone likes him. It's an obvious
What do you
thing.
go to David Bowie for? Like, what do you go
Confidence
him for?
confidence to not please anybody but yourself, and to risk and to set things on fire and start again. Just set things on fire and start again, because it's like you love and you let go, like Sting said, free.
I like that you're using someone who's imaginary, right? Like you never met the person, because that's actually something that you can do if you ever get stuck, if you have writer's block. Look to somebody that inspired you and have them rent free in your head and ask a question, and it makes you think outside of the box. We didn't plan this, but it's a really great strategy, KT. So you guys have your mentors. What obstacles have you had? Like, actually, not what. Let's make this really hardcore. One that you are really comfortable sharing. What has been the biggest obstacle that has faced you to getting where you want to go with writing? And don't share anything that you're not comfortable with, but make it as big as you're okay with.
I can answer.
Yeah.
I think is the journey with whatever rent-free version of success lives in your head. I think we're all driven. Our drive is our drive, and I think it's part of ego. It's creative. It's something that should be embraced, but I think it can also be glued to like some big misconceptions about what fame is, what success is. I will be a successful writer when ...
I will be when, yeah.
Yeah, the when, and
If
a long ass journey of just doing it. And you asked us to be specific. The book that I wrote during COVID, everyone has a COVID sob story. I will move through that, but it was. I graduated in 2020 from the Iowa Playwrights Workshop. It was actually my second master's, and I had this delusion, right, that I'm going to graduate and that will be the thing that moves me to the next step of my career, where I feel supported. I have this network, I have a creative, through line of energy. And of course, everything got shut down. I had a newborn. I was going to move to the West Coast to be with Jeremy, my love, not literally, but at least in Los Angeles. And I didn't. And of course, theater shut down, television writing shut down, and I flipped out. And so I wanted to keep writing. And I felt really drawn to finish this book that I started before I went into grad school. And we talk about like ego of like, who do I think I am to like suddenly be writing fiction? I didn't study fiction at the workshop. I studied playwriting. I didn't study fiction, but I had the ovaries to be like, I'm going to write a fiction book. And I felt this momentum, and I somehow got this story in my head about what is owed to me, or like this creative energy, ends in a win, or this. Oh, I'm just feeling it. Like I was just convinced, that it was this thing. And don't get me wrong, I am immensely proud of that book. I'm as proud of that book as I am my kid. Like it's done. I did it. But that process of really positive illuminated querying, which Jeremy knows, and Greg, geez, like bitch to you a lot about this, Greg, and you talked through off of many ledges.
Let's circle this moment and pause. I want you to keep going with this thread, but you all, we're going to actually have, with these two amazing guest stars, we'll be talking about querying and things that struggles and all of that as well. So there's going to be another episode. We'll make sure to have it in the links below. Unpause, KT.
No, it was like, it seemed like all of the response to the querying was like, yay, you're gonna thumbs up, but nobody wanted to publish it, so I had to have, what it really was a reckoning with my own narrative of success. Why are you doing this? It is hard, because readership is part of that exchange. It is alchemical. I'll say it again, I guess it's my buzzword today, but like, it's an audience. It's about other people. While you write for yourself, it is a yearning to connect and to uplift others. So it feels like a very celestial punch in the face when this shit doesn't work out. So that was a very painful, very fruitful rewiring moment, I think. I can't tell you the aftermath of it because I'm still figuring it out and trying to do it. Yeah.
KT, thank you for being so honest. I think this is something that a huge percentage of writers go through. I know I've gone through it too. We can write from two places. We can write from, I really want to preface this. There's nothing wrong with ego. Ego it's like a spiritual digestive system, right? It helps us understand the reality we're in. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm never anti-ego, but if you're coming from a place of lack and the lack is being filtered through the ego, when you don't have success, it's going to really hurt you because you're looking for the outside to give you something, right? Versus you can write it from the inside for you, and it's already nourished you, and then you're coming from a place of wholeness, and that's a whole different thing for the ego, right? And both can happen, both can happen at the same time. KT, what thoughts on the wholeness versus lack?
Well, that's the core of it, right?
Yeah.
It's apparently Kurt Cobain didn't want to be famous, right? There's all the stories about the stars who are like, oh, but no, but please don't, they were just doing their thing and shining that light, right? And people said, I want that. And, as much as I want to fight against it, I think that's just true. If you're speaking to people, they will listen.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with wanting the attention, the accolades, but for your own health, right? You want to have the wholeness first, and then it's all bonus, right? It's like a cherry on top of a beautifully frosted cake. But a lot of us, speaking of me, I went into it. I found that people liked what I did, and I had a lack of love. And so I identified with getting good jobs on something that I was good at with love. And then when I wasn't getting good jobs, I didn't feel any kind of love, right? And so I kind of broke down, I shut down. And for me personally, I didn't even know if I wanted to write anymore. And then I realized, yes, I like writing. I just was coming from it from the wrong place. And I do want you all to be thinking about this. Please comment below if you are going through something like KT and I have gone through, right? I want to see that, and I want to be able to comment to that. Greg, do you have any thoughts on this at all?
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah,
I've always got thoughts.
Greg, how was those thoughts?
it talked about like the journey, and there's some things you need to get over, and I think too, you sometimes worry about like some inherent arrogance that may feel like it naturally comes with it. But let's be honest. If we really want to break this down, I'm going to, when pitching or talking about a book or anything like that, whether it's a publisher or reader, at its core, I'm saying, the thoughts in my head are worth your time, your energy, and your money, just because I bothered to write them down. And that is what we're doing. And that may seem very intimidating. But
can you say that again? That was so good. I just want you to say it again.
Can we rewind it because I forgot? No.
Rewind.
Like the thoughts in my head are worth your time, your energy, and your money, just because I bothered to write them down. And but I feel like too, and this does sound, getting into the ego that you talked about. I feel like sometimes like I have just these very vivid thoughts, and I don't know where they come from. I love when someone says you're a creative person. It's like, cool, but I kind of wish I knew where these ideas actually originated from.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like that they're not necessarily mine. And talking about self-aggrandizing again, I feel like I've almost been like, gifted with those. It's like, okay,
we're all gifted. We're all gifted.
And let me chisel away the parts that don't work. I feel like stories are artifacts, and that we find them somewhere, and we find them, and we polish them. That we agonize over that, because there is something in them that we see, and that it got to put in the work. You got to the whole blood, sweat, and tears, and put all of that into it. Sometimes just a paper cut, but that still hurts. Yeah, like I feel like almost like I've been entrusted, with this story I'm working on right now. I don't know where it came from, but I know I can't put it back. I know I can't.
Oh man, that gave me chills.
So I need to keep going with it. It's a war of attrition here.
Who's the author? I know I should know this, but like when there's a camera on you, you just forget words sometimes. But who's the author for Eat, Pray, Love?
Oh, Gilbert?
It's not Elizabeth
Gilbert, right?
Is it Elizabeth Gilbert? So we're just gonna say Gilbert, just because I don't want to butcher her.
Someone in your comment section real quick is going to
please, in the comment section, please help us. So she had actually talked, I watched one of her YouTube videos, I think it was a TED Talk, I'm not quite sure, but she talked about how she believes in muses, and believing in muses allows some of the stress and the burden to go onto that as well, right? And that's actually a way to have humility too, right? Because like when you're co-working with whatever it is, right? If it's your subconscious, if it's God, if it's the universe, whatever you want to say, then it's kind of like what KT you were talking about in like one of the other videos we had, right? Like perfectionism, right? If you're writing for you, but you're also writing for whatever is that magic source, you're with it, and then everyone else says we don't like it, right? I think that's going to help you if you were just like, well, I was practicing magic.
It does feel like magic. It totally does. I'm glad you brought up the whole unseen element of it, Greg, because it's
great.
It's so powerful, and everyone has their own relationship to that exchange.
All right, KT, Greg, raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Am I on screen?
Just raise your hand.
Like, right. Hi.
You're gonna raise it. Okay, KT. KT raised her hand first. Okay, so KT, final question on this. If you If you could talk to
I would have
yourself,
been way slower.
say what?
I would have been way slower if I knew that was.
I know. That's why I wasn't going to explain. So, KT, if you could go back to the 10 years you, right? Like rewind 10 years to who you were 10 years ago, what would you say to that, KT?
Oh my God, enjoy being stupid. You can't know everything. You're not supposed to. And we get these incredible opportunities to feel smarter in the presence of people we respect. We get this opportunity to just not be ready for something until we are. I mean, there's a reason we have linear time, right? We are time sensitive beings. I just don't know. I'm not going to know how it's all going to work out. And I think that is, I see it as freeing now. And then it was more terrifying. Well, particularly 20 years ago, but yeah, you must rebuild your relationship with the present and try to trust yourself and enjoy it rather than enjoy it as like a demand. Do you know what I mean? It's that great lyric. It's a Regina Spektor song. She goes, "Enjoy your youth. Feels like a threat. Enjoy your youth." Yeah. Like people say, just enjoy it, and you're like, that's too abstract and terrifying.
Too much
But
pressure in the
in
moment.
terms of like you engineering a new relationship and like choosing, like, I'm going to do this, that's way less terrifying. So that's what I would have told myself. Just choose it, pick it.
Just choose it. I liked it. Just choose it. Greg, same question.
Yeah, that would start with a lot of things like, all right, dumbass. And perhaps a lot word.
Brutal.
But it's just like, just do this, that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Now I feel most at home when okay, so there's a joke where I work where people say it's like I do okay as long as I'm not in a setting. If I'm in a setting, then there's an issue. And I guess like the only place that really isn't a setting is when I'm creating something new in some fictitious world. And to just lean into that so much more. And don't look back and like all the wasted time that I should have been more focused and had these great ideas and that I've lost. There was an expression for stories, and that this you're young guy. I can't say a lot of words. Younger is one of them because it's not a word that resonates with me anymore, unfortunately.
Man.
Dang, that's brutal, Greg. Brutal.
But like stories and dreams are oftentimes like an old-fashioned photo negative where they lose their image as soon as they hit the light. And it's just the idea of just keep dreaming, keep stay in that focus. And when you have an idea, just fucking write it down. You don't need to write this entire tome at one time. You don't need to create some sort of diatribe. Sometimes it's just like a few little triggering thoughts that will get you going back. I keep notes on my phone, and if someone were just to read those without any sort of context, it's like, well, I'm not a mandated reporter, but I do think I need to make a phone call on this one. But it's that they're not for anyone else, and I know what they mean, and really not only do I know what they mean, but also feel like I can know what their potential or their possibilities are. So sometimes if you just want to be a writer or to create something, it really can start with just a sentence or two or just a word, that's going to bring you back into that moment.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for being on this show. We're gonna put links below for you to find out more about KT and Greg, along with links to their books.
I need a website.
And maybe by this point we'll have a website for Greg, and if so, we'll have that in the links below as well.
Under construction. We'll see.
If you're interested in being coached by me, there is a waitlist link below
Do
in the
it.
description
Yeah,
box.
absolutely.
Do it.
I didn't make them do that. I did
Follow
not
our
make-
ethos. I was trying to point to you, and I think it was the wrong way. Are we even on the same screen? I don't know.
I didn't make them do that. So thank you all for listening. KT, Greg, thank you again for being here. And until next time. Woo!